Hello, happy Sunday. How's everyone doing? So I'm online. Please do join me if you'd like to talk about anything. Uh, but yeah, I'm not gonna do belabor too long the movie Scream. I'd like to focus the conversation around education, but so I went to go see Scream 7. And I wasn't sure what to think because, there were mixed reviews online and then there were mixed reviews, whatever on social media. And I try not to listen to those. I like to get my own sort of perspective, um, or I like to give my own perspective. So I saw the first Scream in the back in the 90s, right? I believe the first one came out in the 90s, late 90s. But I might be wrong. But I loved it. I went to go see it with my mom, and she doesn't like movies, at least scary movies, but I dragged her, I remember. So, it keeps my memories of her still good, even though she's still alive, thank God. But anyway, so they had the screen that they had going was the surround screens. So they had the screen in the front, and then they had the screens on the sides, and then they had the screens. I don't think on the back, but it made it more interesting. Let's just put it that way. So I don't like any of the violent stuff. I don't like any of those things because they do give me nightmares. So I try not to watch those scenes. But it was very good. I liked it. If you're a fan of Scream, which I am, I've seen all of them. After the first one, they all kind of break away from the original storyline because that's just the nature of the movie. Um, but all of them have connected to the original storyline. I'm still not giving any spoilers. Um, so this one kind of doesn't break away from the original storyline, but it kind of does. But I felt like if you've seen them all, the director, who is the original director, he kind of put together all of the different screams and he melded it into one. Like that's all I'm gonna say. But it was good. I mean, it kept me on my toes. It kept me hiding my eyes. If you like that kind of stuff, where it's, you know what to expect. Obviously, Ghostface is gonna come after people. But I did feel like the running scenes were good. They kept me on my toes. And I felt like the Fab Four was kind of fading away, which I kind of appreciate. Because I didn't think the Fab Four really fit into the movie. It just didn't work, I don't think. But I do think that they're going to be doing another Scream, and I think that they need to start focusing on the original storyline and giving a little bit more of a story to Ghostface, right? Because it's not it's not a Ghostface is not a what Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees. I used to love that movie too, but I kind of stopped. It got kind of cheesy. He's not like a Michael Myers, right? Now, Halloween, I would love to see another sequel to that. And they're supposed to be working on that as well, but it's kind of hard when studios have a lot of money, on it, and they want people to come out. But and see the movie. I liked it. I'll always be a Scream fan, and I'm a huge Nev Campbell fan. I've been a fan of hers since Party of Five. I haven't really seen too much of everything else she does, But I really loved her in Party of Five because, I like movies where the characters are wholesome and they're good, um, and there's a storyline, right? Party of Five was really good because it was like a family, right? They owned a business and whatnot, and a restaurant, bar, whatever it was, and it kind of followed what was going on with the family and the relationships, and I really like that. Like like the show Home Improvement, right, with Tim Allen, I really like that show. But then when the show steered away to his actual show, like his home improvement show, I kind of lose interest. I like the family parts. I like the when they're dealing with the kids. And I like when Tim Allen was always dealing with Wilson and sort of the little insights he would give um on how he would handle his family. So that's the way I usually am. And I'm more of a rom-com movie kind of a person. But that's, I guess, it's kind of a girly thing, but that's me. Anyway, it was very good. I didn't give you any spoilers, so go see it. Um, how is your Sundays, or how is your Sunday going? Um, I know mine is okay. So I wanted to kind of revisit this book. This is my first actual book that I published with Bloomsbury. It was called Roman and Littlefield, but now it's Bloomsbury. So it's research-based bilingual instruction, the impact of multiple modalities in a K-12 English learner classroom. I really love this book. It was my first, and I dedicated it to my mom, who was an immigrant or is an immigrant, and they came to this country, and they really did give us a great childhood. I believe my parents, they made sure we went to good schools. They made sure that we did everything. They were really proud of us growing up. So I wanted to read uh, one of the first paragraphs. It says, in the beginning, in the introduction, it says, English learners require the support of teachers and their peers to be successful. So I want to kind of look at that sentence for a bit and break it apart. Sorry, I really love my coffee. They require teachers and their peers and the people that are in the classroom with them. When you're a teacher and you don't have an aide, right? You don't have any support, because we all know that budget cuts are crazy right now. You're going to have to rely on a student's peers to help you out, right? And you get busy, right? Running around the classroom, helping students, or hopefully you're teaching a lesson where it doesn't require that. But, and we'll get into that in another episode, like differentiating instruction, giving students options, and being a little flexible, right? And I know it's hard. And I just want to go back to, like, on Friday, one of my students, who I hardly ever showed up, and she wasn't working, and I was getting a little frustrated. But then I started reflecting. I'm like, okay, I gotta step back from this. But anyway, when you're busy doing everything, you're going to have to rely on the student's peers, preferably if they're a multilingual learner, or someone that's bilingual, fluent. And I have a lot of fluent bilinguals in my classroom, and it's really great. They're not English learners, they're just really fluent, so they can communicate with the students, things that I can't communicate, right? I use Google Translate if I have to. I mean, Lyft and Uber drivers, there are drivers who don't necessarily speak English, so I have to use Google Translate. I do the same thing in my classroom. And you can, on the app, you can use it on the app or on your computer and put the mic on so it's loud. It'll blast to them, like a movie theater. They can hear it. So I really think that English learners, you're going to have to rely on their peers. I mean, their peers are very important. And it helps them with their social skills, right? If they're new, coming from a different country, they kind of help them fit in. I've seen students many times, rely on their peers to just kind of help them get around. And the paragraph continues where there has been an extensive array of improvements achieved in the last few years with the instruction of English learners. For example, Zahner indicated that his use of interpersonal intelligence techniques with group work. He stated, as a teacher and educator, I frequently model the use of small group discussions in mathematics classrooms, alternating small group discussions with whole class discussions and individual work. So get them in groups, have them working in groups, have them collaborate. You can have 3 to 4 people per group or 2 to 3 people, and one of those students fluent in their language. And if you don't have someone that's fluent, like I said, you can use Google Translate. You can ask them to use Google Translate. You can have them use the app. And if they don't understand what you're saying, you can, have them record what you're saying. I mean, I allow that. That's fine. Or they can sort of translate through their app. I mean, I let them use their phone apps to help them. But group work is very important. He found an extraordinary amount of success using this strategy with his English learners in the classroom. They were able to interact with each other to help themselves learn different ways of understanding mathematical problems. I mean, there you go. With math, my students struggle with math, not necessarily everything, but like with algebra stuff or polynomial stuff. Integrated math classes they struggle with because it's hard. I struggled in math when I was a kid. It's a different language, it's like, okay, it's not like you're writing an essay. It's not like it flows. It's like, in order for you to get to this, you have to go through this. And it's not easy. I needed, when I was taking one of my math classes in college, I think it was not statistics, but something else. I needed a tutor. I mean, I really did. I was like, this is a different language. So you just have to be able to be flexible, see what works for them, right? So using the multiple modalities of multimedia, right? Videos, pictures, memes, kinesthetics, letting them touch, letting them feel, music, and interpersonal intelligence. I intend to explain how research and student perspective from English learners help show there are multiple ways of supporting English learners in any classroom. So again, you're just kind of like, you're trying to use all of their senses, right? And I know it's hard. Teaching is not easy anymore. Even if you are teaching in a school where the literacy rate's pretty high, you're still going to have 1 or 2 students that may be struggling. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to feed them the information so that they can understand it? And just remember, Dr. Hasso told you the multiple senses. You can use music. If you're teaching them about a mathematical equation, a word problem, you can have them, break it apart, make that word problem a group activity, right? Where the students are discussing it like a book club, and let them break it apart, right? Let them break it apart with your guidance, and then they can put it back together, right? They can deconstruct and then reconstruct. And then you're giving them a little bit of guidance, right? You're teaching them that math problem. You're giving them the tools, you're giving them the formulas, and you let them sort of figure it out, sort of like being an engineer, right? Let them rebuild it, let them build it. I know it's time consuming. I'm a teacher, so I know all the limitations that we have. But maybe you can take one day and give them a little bit, where they can play with it, right? There's a lot of research about play, like Lego logs. Let their brains process it. Let them process it the way they need to process it. Like, for example, like when something happens, right, in the world, like what just happened? That's what I'll start thinking. And then I'll process things, right? Let's just say like the Nancy Guthrie case, right? Here's this I mean, I'm not gonna harp on this too much, but here's a celebrity, right? Celebrity mom. Her mom is a celebrity, and you hear that she's missing or she went missing, and you just think, okay, she's a celebrity. Who would want to risk going into a wealthy neighborhood, and maybe that's gated, and take this poor old lady? But then you start processing it, you start reading it a little bit more. Well, this wasn't a gated community. It was an open place. This lady was limited in her mobility. And there wasn't a lot of security on her home, but it was also well known for being a safe neighborhood. But I'm not, there's no blame on anybody, but I'm just saying, like, you start to process things and put it together. And it took me a little bit of time to process it, but still, it's like, who would risk that? And so you start putting things together. So my call to action for all of you is to, remember, students are human, and that's something I forget. It's something I had to remember over the years. And I'm a machine. I come, I do my work, and I just do what I have to do, even if I'm having a bad day. It's just me. It's the way I was raised. But students today are not that way, right? They're having a bad day, and that's what they're thinking about, whatever it is that they're thinking about, right? Whatever is making them feel bad. So what I'm calling to action for you all to do is to maybe take something that, and you can choose it. You can, if something's going to be hard to them, then give it that week. Give the students time to play with it that week. And you can design it to be like, okay, the first day I'm going to teach my lesson. I'm going to go over the objectives. I'm going to go over modeling. I'm going to go over practicing with them. And then like the Tuesday, you can, have them start playing with it, start working with it in their groups, letting them talk it out, right? I mean, students do have voices, and, I'm the teacher that really like focuses in on how productive students are and how engaged they are. You have to keep them engaged, and they're engaged with their peers. But you do have to monitor their discussions, right? You do have to kind of walk around and listen in on their discussions, make sure that they're, being productive. Obviously, if they need a break, a social break, sure, that's fine. You can give them that. But I do think that we need to allow multilingual learners and all learners process what you're teaching them, allow them to play with it, allow them to think it through, allow them to process whatever it is that you're giving them, right? So that's all my little tidbit is for today. But I don't know, how do you guys feel about that? If you're a student, how do you feel about that? If you're an adult, how do you feel about that? If you're a parent, how do you feel about that? I mean, letting them process things. So anyhow, that's all. I didn't want to Sunday. It's a beautiful day. Then go enjoy it. Life's too short. Enjoy the day. But anyway, the movie was good. I strongly, if you're able to go see it. I know it's coming out on streaming soon. Maybe that's not something, it is advertised. But it was really, I have streaming at home, and I don't really like to go to the movies, but I wanted to get the full experience because it's been a while since I've been to the movies. And I really like Nev Campbell. So I just went and I enjoyed it. I did the late show, the latest show they had, it was still packed, but it was probably not a good idea because I had dinner a little bit early. Like I had dinner around 5:30, and then I had all this time to kill, like in terms of waiting. because I'd already booked it, and I booked it through an app, and this particular app doesn't allow you to exchange it for an earlier time. You have to refund it, and then you have to repurchase your ticket. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. So next time I know, I just have to download the actual theater app, and then I could, if there's a situation like that next time, I can exchange it at the theater. But I really enjoyed the movie, and I was scared. Yes, I was scared. I closed my eyes during the bad scenes, the yucky scenes, because I guess there were some scenes that were a little bit more dramatic than the other movies. And I don't like watching that stuff. There's enough craziness in the world. I don't want to know. I don't want to see it. I don't know if any of you all are like that, but I'm just not like I closed my eyes. I kept doing this and then peeking peeking to see when the scene would be done, the bad scenes. I did like the run scenes. I did like, some of the talking scenes. Because the voice is always I've seen him interviewed, and he just seems like a really down to earth guy. Um, but it was I really liked it, and I like the end. Obviously, they got the bad guy, but I don't like the the violence. Um, but I do know that it has been advertised that they're going to make a Scream 8, and they're in the works on that. So I hope Nev Campbell is on that one. I will probably go to the theater to see it. Hopefully, the storyline will be a little bit different. But these movies, when they're sequels, they're never storyline's never different. It's always the same kind of a thing, right? Something bad happens in the beginning, and then we're going after the bad guy, and along the way, people, perish. But I thought it was really good. I mean, like the movie Adolescence, that was a really good movie. Quality acting. There wasn't there wasn't a lot. There wasn't violence. I didn't see a lot. I just saw a lot of humanity being dealt with on so many levels. As a parent, I'm not a parent, but the way the parents were in the movie and the way the kid was in the movie, I'm so glad they're winning all the awards, because they need to win all the awards. It was well done. And it wasn't something that, it wasn't, I don't think it was an American made movie, because it was like British or something, but it was so good. Anyway, you need to see it. It's really good. Adolescence. Okay. So I am ranting enough. So I will close out by saying peace, love, unity for the world. The world is going through a lot right now. And that leaves me, with gratitude, right? Gratitude. I live in this country where it doesn't have that. But we can be a little bit of a voice for those people. But anyway, have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to you all soon.